Welcome back, Fantasy Moto fans, to the PulpMX Fantasy Show. I'm Donnie from RotoMoto, and in this video, I have 5 riders I want you to look at when making your picks for Anaheim 3, tips for the FFL, the weather report, race day schedule, and an early look at what my team could be come Saturday night. And stick around to the end of the video to find out how you could win race-used front number plates like this one, fresh off the front of Christian Craig's race bike, autographed by the man himself and his mechanic. But first, as always, we start the video off with some stats and info from last weekend in Glendale. 19,289 total players set their lineup, meaning we've officially lost 1,000 players after 5 rounds, but still holding very strong compared to years past. But the championship player count has only dropped about 150, proving that those who pay tend to stay. The most popular team, or the sum of points for the riders with the highest pick trends, was a massive 282, which would have placed you inside the top 700 overall if you would have just taken the easy ones. Proving once again that getting cute doesn't always pay off. The median championship score was 237, meaning if you scored 238 or more, you did better than half of the paying field. There was no reason to have less than 8 in the main in the Glendale Triple Crown, but that does not mean that you are guaranteed a good day. This guy picked 3 of the 5 riders that missed double points, in addition to missing both FFLs, to take home a grand total of 137 with 8 in the main in what was supposed to be the easiest round of the season so far. Speaking of FFL, high conversion rate on both since we had 3 chances to nail it. Almost 25% of players cashed in for a free 15 points in the 250 class, with Craig being an easy choice. 450s were tougher, with Tomac and Sexton pulling hole shots and leading the opening laps. Big loser of the weekend was a head scratcher. Despite knowing every single rider in the main, 6% of players still managed to pick Justin Rodbell. I would blame it on time zones or something, but if you cannot make time to lock in the picks in the 2 hours after the LCQ leading up to the race, maybe be sure to leave those fringe guys off of your Triple Crown teams. Steve takes the top step of the podium for the Experts division in Glendale with 282, grabbing both FFLs. JT's early season struggles continue, with he and Paul both finishing in the back half of the championship league. Dan scores in the middle of the pack, and that leaves him out front, but with a slim lead over myself. Steve's comeback significantly tightens the pack, as we are now down to just 71 points separating everybody. Something new on the video, Travis Marks has put together a team that is using the Mulligan feature every single week to give an example of what the bottom end of score should be. Team All Mulligan checked in at 1,038 after the first 5 rounds, just 15 points lower than the tail of the expert pack. I will leave a link that takes you straight to the All Mulligan team in case you want to see the weekly score breakdown. Moving on to Anaheim 3, the injury list grows again. Canadian privateer Cole Thompson announced an injury at Glendale in the second main that will send him back to Canada early, missing the rest of the Supercross season. Dylan Schwartz will continue to sit after an injury last time we were here in Anaheim and plan to return after the East leg of the series. And his teammate Carson Mumford is listed as 50-50, but word from the Barek Suzuki team is that he's just banged up and no major concerns for the man that is top 10 in points. 450 class, there's no new injuries. However, there is still a chance that Alex Ray misses Anaheim 3, but the SGB Honda team hopes he will be lining up on the gate this weekend, aiming for his first main event of the season. With the injury to Mumford, the other Carson takes the All-Star spot, meaning Carson Brown will not be worth double points this weekend. After Dylan Ferrandis' DNF'd in the 3rd main event, he is now eligible for double points, with Ken Roxon taking his spot among the All-Stars. All right, on to your Anaheim 3 picks. I have 3 guys to target, 1 to avoid, and a high handicap hero for you gamblers out there, starting with the little class and working our way up. A ton of good value at the all-star spot in the 250s here, but for me, I think I have to go with the favorite. Christian Craig has shown week in and week out that he's in a league of his own, and even being down on the first lap of the race that is only 10 minutes long, he still came back to 4th. It's not every day you get a guy that has won 3 out of 5 and been on the podium every round at a positive handicap, but here we are, and this weekend, that makes Craig my guy. A double eligible rider that has been quietly great this season for fantasy players and continues to have value this weekend is Dylan Walsh. The 2019 British MX2 champion has finished in the top 13 in all 3 mains at the Triple Crown, as well as San Diego and A2, with 4 of those 5s being 11th place finishes. He is a slight risk to head to the LCQ, but he has proven himself a great starter, and that should be able to keep him ahead of trouble even if he does land in that last chance. On the 450 side, I'm looking at the Rockstar Husqvarna team for my All-Star. Malcolm Stewart comes in with a 4 handicap, needing a top 5 finish to max out, something he's done in 6 consecutive gate drops. Even after the Marvin Musquin crash at A1, he still managed 7th, proving to be one of the most consistent riders in the field. In fact, only 2 riders have finished in the top 7 in all 5 rounds this season, Eli Tomac and Malcolm Stewart. A 450 rider that I want you to avoid this weekend is his Rockstar Husqvarna teammate. Dean Wilson has looked great in his last 4 gate drops, finishing 9th at A2 and going 9.99 for 9th overall in Glendale, but that is the problem. His season best finish has now become sort of his norm, so a 1 handicap just doesn't leave any wiggle room for the 15 to score more than 30 points. In addition to putting him at risk of missing double if he even sniffs any trouble this weekend. The high handicap hero of the round given to a rider with a handicap of 10 or more that I think has a realistic chance to score massive points this weekend if you're the type of person that likes to sweat out a little LCQ for a big point payout. This week we look at a 450 guy that rhymes with Eddie Oren. Fast Freddy has made every single main event he's attempted in 2022, missing the second round due to failing protocols, and is somehow still guaranteed double points as long as he makes the main at A3. Obviously, the reason his handicap is this high is because he hasn't done much in the main once he gets there. His average finish is only 20th, so you're hoping this is the week that he puts it all together, but it's not every week you get a guy that has made every main still guaranteed double points, and that is worth mentioning. Moving on to the FFLs, A3's track map shows an entire lap from the gate drop to the finish line, so no quick upsets here. A lot of blue adding to the picture last weekend. Craig takes 2 out of 3 in the 250 class at Glendale, but his average start tanks due to being dead last on the first lap of the third. He's now tied with Freezy for most FFLs this season, but it's also worth noting that both of Vince's FFLs came here in Anaheim, so we might have an edge on this SoCal dirt. Tomac nails 2 FFLs in Glendale, but with an asterisk because some people believe he had an aid, but let's not get into that here. The Hondas look incredible off the start this season, and just like the 250 class, the same guy took both FFLs in Anaheim this year. That's Ken Roczen. He took both already here, and I look for him to do it again, although not as confidently here as with the 250 class. We finally have a beautiful race day weekend in sunny Southern California, highs of 88 during the day for qualifying before cooling down into the 70s by the time the first gates drop. The race day schedule is your typical West Coast fare. Those of us on the East Coast are going to have a late one with race day live beginning at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. local time in Anaheim, and will be broadcast live on the Peacock app. RotoMoto Patreon supporters are the first to receive the cheat sheets as I post them to our private Discord, and then to the Patreon at wide at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. The standard cheat sheets will hit the general public on the PulpMX Fantasy Twitter and Instagram shortly after, sometime between 8:30 and 9 Eastern. Then the picks lock and the gates drop at 10 p.m. Eastern on the Peacock app only this weekend. That is right, no televised broadcast available, as NBC has paid a stupid amount of money to broadcast the Olympics, and they aren't going to let our silly little sport stand in their way of showing it 24/7. After the race, feel free to join me over on my own YouTube channel for the RotoMoto post-race program immediately following the 450 podium ceremony, where I talk directly with you and other Supercross fans live on camera about the racing, the drama, the fallout, and of course, the fantasy results as they become available. Before I show you my early team for San Diego, I want to talk about Maxxis Tire coming on for all 17 rounds of the Supercross season so I can deliver these videos for you. You know Maxxis Tire. You know their MXST tire designed by the king of Supercross and my all-time favorite rider, Jeremy McGrath. It is the newest and most advanced tire in the Maxxis MX lineup, featuring an all-new tread pattern, compound, and composition to provide the stability, predictability, and traction that the upper tiers of motocross demand. The entire SGB Honda team runs Maxxis on their race bikes, including PulpMX show favorites and on-again, off-again rivals Alex Ray and Cade Clayson, available at your local retailer and also at motosport.com. My Thursday morning team looks like this. I have Christian Craig as my all-star with 3 wins and a 1 handicap. I'm March banking on Garrett to contend for another top 5 finish here in Anaheim. Jalik Swoll at a -2, who is yet to finish outside of the top 7, and ever-consistent Dylan Walsh on his Revo Kawasaki at a 4 handicap. 450 side, I have Malcolm Stewart as my all-star with a 4 handicap. Dylan Ferrandis as a fresh double-eligible -2 handicap looking for that podium potential. Aaron Plessinger hopefully back at 100% after riding Glendale banged up. And Justin Bogle at an 8 looking to get another great start and stay out of the sights of the number 51. If you want a chance to win something like this front number plate, fresh off of Christian Craig's Anaheim race-winning bike, consider joining the RotoMoto Patreon. For just about $1 per week, you support me immensely and help make it possible for me to make more content like this, but you're also entered to win race shoes and autographed memorabilia from your favorite riders and fantasy darlings every single month. And sign up for the Insider tier for an additional entry into the giveaways, as well as an exclusive podcast talking fantasy stats on every single rider in the field every week, as well as the enhanced cheat sheets that come out every Saturday. Link for that will be in the description below. And do not forget to follow at PulpMX Fantasy and at RotoXMoto on both Instagram and Twitter for the injury updates as the weekend rolls on, qualifying info, and stats and banter throughout the race itself, and those fantasy cheat sheets once qualifying is done and wrapped. Thank you for watching the PulpMX Fantasy Show presented by Maxxis Tire. My name is Donnie, and may your chizzes chiz this weekend. Remember that 8 is great, and most importantly, have fun. Good luck, y'all.